Hey Ben, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Oh, excellent, Tim. Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. I might have to drop out of this phone call I'm trying to avoid.
No worries. Is there anything special I need to do for recording? Do you know?
I have no idea. I've always been frustrated by Hangouts, so I'm no expert.
Let me see what Google says.
I see a little, there's a lot of icons on the left that might do something magic.
Oh, okay, sweet. It looks like it is recording. Okay. And it looks like we can edit, so we can edit out all this mess. So we can get started here in about 30 seconds. All right, so I'm gonna get started. My name is Jonathan, and I'm here to talk about some settings that you might like to use for your Bash shell in Linux or in Mac, Mac OS 10. Um, and so I guess the first thing is to have a demonstration of what I'm talking about here. So when we type in commands into our shell, they are stored in a history file. And so if I just type in echo hello, and if I then call the history command, which is a built-in utility in the bash shell, we can see what previously happened, and we can see that we have some date and timestamps associated with that. That's nice, and it becomes even nicer when you have to type in very long commands that maybe have specific arguments and an order and spacing and things of that nature. And you don't want to have to type those out again. So in a previous breakfast bash, I saw that we covered some of the basics of bash, but I find that I just had this nice huge echo command with a bunch of characters, gobbledygook characters, and if I open up a new shell and I type in my history, um, I can still see that that's there because of some of the bash settings that we're going to review today. And this makes it nice so that no matter if I open a new window or not, if I want to recall that previous command, I can do that. So there's a few ways to do that. You can see every time I open up and I type in history, it's putting in duplicates. So one of the ways that we can call a previous command is we can call it by number. Another way is just hit the up arrow, and that allows us to go backwards through the history. And the final way is to hit Control R, and that's called a reverse incremental search. And in that case, I can start typing in. And so you can see here on the left-hand side that I've typed in EC, and so it found the first thing. If I'm not happy with that first command, I can hit Control R and go back a little bit further to the previous one. I could also start with my reverse incremental search and start typing anywhere in the string. So I could start typing HASD, and then it'll find the first one in the history. So let's go look at what makes this work. Here I've got a bash profile. You might also have this in your bash RC. And the first setting that I've set is I store my bash history in a specific file. So I use this is export, means that this is going to be available in any shells, and I think also in subshells. So I'm not certain about that. But this his file is the variable that controls the behavior. And here I'm setting it to my home directory, and I'm setting it to a dot file called bash history. That's pretty straightforward. The next one is I like to have a very large history. And so this first setting is for my hist file size. This is the amount of commands that are able to be stored in the hist file. And then hist size is the amount of commands that are available in the current session. So if we noticed before, when we were looking at the pane 4, we only saw a few commands there. But if I go here and we've changed it to use my default file, and we've changed it to have these settings here, and we open up a new session, and we type in history. Oh, it's still showing the old one. I'm not sure what I did wrong there. So um, let's just say that that does work. It'll go up to 10,000. We're not going to issue 10,000 commands right now to see that. The next one is important, um, is for appending the commands that we type. So if I'm in a shell and I exit out of that shell, it will write the current history to the history file. And so if I exited out of there, the last one was 6. So if we go back to here and we type in history, we can see that it will overwrite the previous history, that history file, each time we exit a shell. But if we type in hist append, it will no longer overwrite and will actually append the new commands of the current session into the history file, which is super useful. You can also type in history-a on the command line to enable this behavior. But if you set it in your bash profile or bash RC, it'll be set every time you open up a shell. And then I would like to get that behavior every time I type anything in and hit enter. And to do that, we can override the command prompt. And so we have our regular command prompt, whatever that may be. And then we also run these commands. We run history-a, which says append any history settings. We then run history-c to clear the current history. And then we run history-r to reload from the hist file. So the first one is saying, make sure we append whatever command we enter. The second one is saying, let's clear the current history file, and then we restore it. And what this means is that I have 6 and 7. If I come over here to 6 and I type in echo hello from pane 6, and we look in our history, we should be able to see that we have echo from pane 6. And then we come over into 7 and we type in history. We can see that now we have the history from echo from hello from pane 6. If we do the same thing over here, hello from pane 7, and then we can look in our history here, and then we see it. If we come over here and we type in history, we don't see it yet because that command hasn't reloaded that one, but if we hit enter one more time, we'll see it there. So I find this really useful because I will often open up new panes quickly and then type in commands or maybe cd into a specific directory, and I have maybe I need to run some specs or tests in my application, and then I can just use my Control R and then find that complicated command and then hit enter. So it really speeds up my workflow. The final thing that I wanted to cover is the hist time format. So if we actually open up and look at the bash history file on the here, it does not have the format, but this field, we saw that here when I didn't have these settings set, that we have the date and the time associated with the command. So if you want to do that, you can use %f and %t. I've obviously done something wrong here, jumping around and explaining it to you guys. %t is short for doing the hours, minutes, and seconds, and %f is short for years, months, and days. And you can find more about that at this link. And the final, the actually final one is the hist control. If we notice here when we were looking at the history, we have the same command twice. We have 3 and 4 that show up there, and they are actually the same command. Well, this is not very efficient, and if I rerun history, we can see it's 5 and 7. And then you can see the history command is enumerated many times. But if we set this hist control to ignore dupes and erase dupes, it does what you would expect. It sort of slims it up. So if we type, if we have close out 6, close out pane 7 and 6, back to pane 5, we're going to open it up, we type in history, and then you notice there's only one history in here now. We're going to type exit and then open up another pane again and then type in history. Still getting a lot of exits, I'm not sure why that's the case, but the idea is that we should only be having one of those. Oh, not sure what. Well, I think because I've been playing around with the settings, it's getting funky here. But in general, it does slim it down a good bit. And then the last thing that I like, I showed at the beginning of this presentation, was that you can hit your up arrow, I'm sorry, your exclamation point to run a previous command. but I don't always want to run the command right away. Sometimes I want to edit it. By setting this option, and this is another way to set options for your bash history settings, I want to verify the command before I run it. So when we open up a new one, let's make sure I'm getting the profile. Look at our history. The command we want to run is 9. I hit enter, and the history numbers are a little off there. Oops. It's 16, and it actually brings up that previous command 16 and allows me to edit it so that I can clean it up and fix maybe a typo or something before I run it again. So that concludes the things I wanted to cover. As you can see, this is a little buggy for me jumping around and doing it, but these are the settings you want. I will drop a link to a gist with these commands and also the links to my sources here. I got this from a couple of blog posts over the years, and I hope you enjoyed it. And unless anybody has any questions, we'll wrap it up.
Thanks, man. I was having a lot of history pain last week, so this is helpful.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Travis, any questions?
No, I learned a lot. I appreciate it.
Sweet. All right. I think I'm wrapping it up under 5 minutes. I'm not sure what we'll have planned for the next time, but we'll figure that out and we'll get it announced. Thanks.
Thanks, Jonathan.
All right. Later.